Hello everybody, Source Codex, or Jazz Fusion Guy as I've known to some. And today's video is going to be about the wonders, beauties, and benefits and liabilities of having bamboo in your backyard. We paid pretty good money when we first moved in here to have what's called a bamboo barrier put in. That's what this black stuff is. And it goes all around the bed in our bamboo, and it prevents the bamboo from spreading. And what happens when the roots of the bamboo meet the barrier, they will take a turn, just like this one here, and they meet the obstruction and they turn back into the bed and put bamboo shoots up. Now when we moved in, we had about, I'd say only 25% of what you see here. This is all new bamboo that's come up inside our bamboo barrier area. Now, if you have bamboo coming up somewhere that you don't want during the season, usually May to April, it's just simple to go over and kick it over and break the shoot off. Or you can take a tool like a shovel and cut it off below ground level, and you won't have any more unwanted sprouts until the next year. The problem is our bamboo came from our neighbor's property, and he has cut down 100% of his bamboo, but there are still roots that come from his property to this day. And where the bamboo barrier ends, ours ended right here. Bamboo is invasive and insidious, and what do you have? Another root coming in to my property. So what I'm going to have to do is excise this root, cut it off at the fence area. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I had a little sprout right here coming up through the ground, through the leaf mulch. So I dug this bamboo root up, and I used my Sawzall, and once I got it exposed, I just cut it off. And there it is. And there's a little piece here too. And there it is. I cut it off. Now, that might look easier than it really was, because I had to do a heck of a lot digging, probably a foot down in some places. And this is a root here from a pine tree, which is right there. Massive, mature pine tree. And the bamboo crawled right over that root. Now, once you cut the vegetation off that comes above ground from the root, it eventually will die after several years of doing so. But I did not want to wait, because I've been cutting back sprouts from this for 2 or 3 years, so I'm done with it. So what is going to happen now is, from where the bamboo barrier, the initial one, ends, I will be installing new barrier for about 30 feet down to this oak tree and this azalea bush. And I'll be pulling the soil back and digging a trench deep enough for the new bamboo barrier. I can get it locally for under $5 a foot, and I think it's an 80 mil thickness. So that ought to be good enough to keep this bamboo from coming, and that'll solve problems for a long time. But it's going to be a lot of work. You might think, why don't you rent a trencher? Well, a trencher's not going to work right upside of my fence. You can't get it that close, and I don't want to go in and back and forth and build this great big trencher hole. I just as soon dig it out myself. Another thing I might consider doing, but I think that would be a pain in the butt too, would be renting an auger and just going down, hole, repeated. So I'm going to try good old manual labor here to get down as deep as I need to get. And you know, I'm old enough and can afford it. If it gets too hard, and my tools here, my sharpened edger and all the other good stuff that I've got here, if it just gets to be too much work, then maybe I'll rent something. But as I said, with having beautiful bamboo in your backyard, you're going to pay money to have it contained. You're going to have to watch and see if anything escapes somehow and cut it down. And it's just a matter of policing your property. Since the bamboo started from my neighbor's property and I got it from him, I'm not going to worry about any roots coming from my property into his. He seems happy just to cut it down and haul it off, and he actually uses the cut down barrier as architectural supplies for stuff he's building in the backyard. And what he doesn't use as architectural supply, he packs it up on a trailer, and my guess is he sells it, because he has taken away hundreds of bamboo stalks. And if you do any Googling or researching, bamboo is used all over the place as an amazing architectural, foldable, bendable, modifying, you name it, whatnot. It is very useful and very strong, and this stuff grows very quick. All right, reporting back later when I get some more work done. And excavating the root that is coming just past where the bamboo barrier ends, I have found out that it has decided, and bamboo roots have a mind of their own, it has split into a left and a right horizontal portion, rhizome. I am not going to keep digging. I'm going to operate according to what I know is if you cut these rhizomes off from their food supply, which is coming from the other side of the fence, the rhizome should eventually die. It may try to send up some vegetation either somewhere over here or maybe somewhere over here, and over the next few years I'll just keep cutting that food supply to the rhizome off, and it will dry and rot underground. So I do not need to do any more excavation at all. Okay, here we go. So bamboo, the rhizome, away from the fence going down to that T intersection. But as I was working on getting the T intersection off, I realized there's another root underneath the one that I cut coming out from deeper underneath the fence. Now, like I said, bamboo, rhizome growth, there's no rhyme or reason. Here's one branching off parallel to the fence, and you can see some of its roots sticking up above the ground, and I will be getting it out as well. The reason we had the T intersection here could have been something like there was a rock there, or the soil was denser, so it just found its way into easier access to go underground. All right, let's get back to it. Don't see too often, at least I haven't in my experience, but here is a tip of a bamboo rhizome. I have been able to track it to where it came from, and here's where it is currently growing. So all that's going to come out. Geez, this is more work than I thought it would be. I didn't mention that I've been using that works well for locating and cleaning up these rhizomes to get out. And in a lot of places, like in Alaska, they use water pressure to blast rock away and find what they're trying to find. And you can do the same thing with a bamboo rhizome. You can blast it like I'm doing, and it helps loosen the soil all around the area you're going to work. And also, I like to conserve things, so when I finally dug the rhizomes up, I wanted to keep the soil that the roots were holding here in my yard. So I blasted the rhizomes. I am set on jet, and that does a fine job. So that's another thing to consider if you're working with bamboo and removal of rhizomes. Finished for today getting these rhizomes out. I've discovered that they pretty much stay within the 6 or 8 inches under the fence, and don't come in very much earlier or deeper. Just like this pine tree root is coming in right under the fence. The bamboo is pretty much the same. It looks like I'm going to need like 25 or 30 feet of bamboo barrier, and that is for later. You all a bird's eye view of my stand of bamboo and the rock wall that was erected up against it. The rock that's looking sort of disheveled and not arranged came from another area that I tore apart in my yard that I didn't like, and I'm going to use that stone to build my yard up, my wall up higher. So here's the area that I was working in today, where I made the video earlier, and the expanse from that oak tree with the azalea to the bamboo barrier there. I'm going to put in new bamboo barrier, and it should look good. Bamboo was so thick in my neighbor's yard on the other side of the fence that there was an old van trapped inside of the bamboo. It had been there for God knows how long, and the bamboo had grown up all around it. It was like that when we moved in here 5.5 years ago. But the fella cut all the bamboo down and had the old van hauled away, and as you can see, there's very little bamboo now, just small sprigs coming up in the open area behind our fence. The bamboo in my yard is all that's left of the huge stand of bamboo that was here. And like I said, when we first moved in, we had about 75% less bamboo. All right, until later. It is after dark, but I thought I would report. I had one of those gut level feelings, or actually, I think it was that still small voice said to me, you need to dig out as close as possible to the existing bamboo barrier and see what you find. And lo and behold, after I had my nap, pizza, and the Kentucky Derby, I came out here and did a little bit of excavating and water jet cleaning, and I found this nice long bamboo root. Sort of reminds me of that creature in that old sci-fi movie called The Tingler with Vincent Price, I think. But anyway, tomorrow in the daylight I'll get my Sawzall, and this sucker will be gone. Alright, time to go chill out. What I find interesting about our bamboo area is you get all different size diameters of bamboo coming up. There's a little small one, kind of a fishing pole diameter. There's a slightly bigger one, and here's one of the bigger ones of our group. You know, I cannot get my hand around this thing. Now, one thing I noticed when I was digging up these rhizomes is that bamboo grows into these sections, and then you have a node, and then you have another section. And if you look on this smaller one, you have your node, and then another node, and you have branches coming out at the nodes. Now in the older, more mature bamboo, let's try this again. If you look at the older, more mature bamboo, you don't have the branches coming out to much higher. And this varies from shoot to shoot. But interestingly enough, on the root system, on the rhizome, you have the same pattern of node to node, and instead of branches branching out at the nodes, you have these side roots branching out. And from anywhere along this rhizome, it can send up a vertical shoot to feed itself. And that's a little quick lesson about things I've observed about bamboo. I'm going to call the bamboo barrier people today. And find out what they have in stock. Took a Sawzall to this rhizome and I cut it back in from the fence area, about 1 inch or so, and I've cut it here near the ground level. Let's see what we've got here, how strong these roots are. Too strong to pull apart, about like the creature in the sci-fi horror movie, as I mentioned earlier, the Tingler. It doesn't want to let go. So I'm going to find my trusty mattock here and give it a little bit of gentle persuasion. One-handed mattocking. Alright. And another. Breaking it up. I love this tool. It's just like violence. Excuse any crazy filming going on one-handed here, but you never know what you're getting into with these roots, because they can have a root coming out from underneath of them going deeper. But I'll find that out as I go. Well, that's the money. Okay. Oh, I missed it. Okay. We're looking good now. All right. One more. Okay. Don't want to knock a hole in my bamboo barrier. And there you have it. Oh, God. That was fun. Okay. So, I'm going to blow that off with my trusty hose set on jet and rinse all the soil off. And here's an opportunity to look at how deep down my bamboo barrier goes. That's let's see, there's some more root here. Get that out. A little bit of this, that, and the other. Okay. That looks good. So, you can see the bamboo barrier is pretty deep. Well, I had some revelations today. I got on the phone with the local bamboo supplier. His name is David at Brightside Bamboo. The nursery is Chapel Hill proper, North Carolina. and really more so in the carbo area. And I talked about buying some more of this barrier from him, and then we talked about what situation I've got going on, and he said, yeah, I could cut you 30 feet. And I told him about the difficulty. How am I going to put a trench in right by the fence? And the more we talked, he said, you know, I've done 20-some thousand feet of the bamboo barrier, but I've done 50,000 feet worth of something called the pruning trench, which involves putting in no barrier, but you put a trench or a slot along where you want to watch rhizomes coming in, and you only need to go about 12 inches down, because the bamboo that comes in, as I've seen here and here and here and here, it only came in within 4 to 6 inches below the fence, so it wasn't very deep. It's a shallow going root most of the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a pruning trench, is what it's called, and you kind of leave it open for visual inspection. I don't mind a trench running here in my backyard to watch the bamboo, watch for a new rhizome coming through, and when one comes through at any time during the year, you just cut it off and you stop your bamboo coming in. Now I know my fence here looks really crappy, really rotted. I mean, this fence was put in probably 1995, 96, so it's approaching 30 years old. So it's not surprising that it had some rot where the soil and the that was my alarm going off. I need to get my food out of the oven. But anyway, the air trench. And I'm not going to rent a trencher. I'm just going to dig a 12-foot trench manually and bring the mulch up to the edge of the trench, and I'll just keep a watch. And at some point in time, my guess is within 3 or 4 years, the bamboo that was coming from my neighbor's yard, the rhizomes, they're going to crap out. And if after 2 or 3 more years, after the initial 3 or 4, I don't get any more rhizomes coming out that need pruning, I'll probably just fill it in and worry about the condition of the fence at another time. Who knows, I may take the pickets out and put some new ones in. But that's later on. It's time to go eat. Cod and fries. I was going to take a break and have my lunch. Somebody wants my lunch. You can't have my lunch. That was Lily Grace. So, we have some cod and fries and tartar sauce, unsweet tea, and an apple turnover for dessert. Then I'll be ready to consider going back to work again. Alright, this was a lunch intermission. Ciao, literally. Had a nice lunch break, me and the dog, and now it's time to get back to work. So, like I said, I'm going to rinse down this rhizome and get the soil off of it. I don't like to waste anything, so getting the soil off of this rhizome means I'm not going to be throwing away good soil out on the street or wherever. So what I usually do is after the first squirt, oh, excuse me, here's where another shoot looks like it was going to come up, but it didn't have the chance to. So after I squirt it off on one side, then I go at it on the other side. I know this is boring, but I'm a completist, and this is what I do. You don't have to do this if you don't want to do this. You can throw away your rhizome and dirt and all. That's fine. Okay. So I think we're done there. And what I'm going to do today, before I get back to doing some stuff on the inside, because today I'm going to kind of take it easy and not really bust my butt like I did the other day. And I'm just going to dig this pruning trench and let you have a look at it. I'm not even going to go the whole way. I may only go 2 or 3 feet. But we'll see what we got. Alright. Pruning trench, so to speak. I'm only down a little bit. Not that much. But in going down just a few inches below the wall, I have discovered, let's see what water jet reels. Yes. One more rhizome. And right below where I cut one off the other day, there's a second rhizome. And then next to it, growing under the concrete for the fence post, is a third rhizome. And I also found underground a bamboo shoot that was getting ready to come up to the surface from one of these rhizomes. And further up towards my bamboo barrier, I have got rhizome number 4, which I'm not surprised at all. And then closest to the bamboo barrier itself, which is filling up with water now, but trust me, that's rhizome number 5 in there. So, I have found, and just starting the pruning trench, 5 more rhizomes. I've had my rest after lunch, and here is rhizome number 1 near the bamboo berry that's coming up. And here's a nice fat rhizome number 2 that is also coming up. My Sawzall is charged up and ready to work. And here are rhizomes 3, 4, and 5. And a strange little bamboo whatnot over on the far left, which I'll probably be cutting. And to drain all the water that I used to rinse all these free, I had to dig a hole underneath this pine tree root to drain all the water away so I could see what I was doing. So kind of a massive undertaking, but I'm doing what my wife calls the salami method, where you cut little pieces off at a time, little bits of work over time, and you don't wear yourself out, and you get it done. So I'll be reporting back after I get done cutting. Well, there's the last of the offending rhizomes. I found a sixth one after I cut up one of the deeper fifth ones, and a few little pieces and parts. There's a vertical sprout that was getting ready to come up. I of course cut it off, and so now my area for putting in the pruning trench is clear for further digging, and that's for later, because I am, as they say, dog tired. Alright, until later. This is work too hard, John boy. I'm out here early this Tuesday morning, and I'm thinking, did I dream all this? Are there still rhizomes to dig up and cut out? And sure enough, there's two more of them. One a little deeper down, but it had already been cut off towards the fence. So I'll go back down here and Sawzall it and dig it up. I think though today I'm going to give my old back and my tired muscles a break. This stuff ain't going anywhere. And the next video will be of me pulling this junk out and the progress on my pruning trench. I'm going to research that online today and see what info I can't pull up on the pruning trench. Alright, it's time for coffee, time for breakfast. Bye-bye. Tip for easily checking as you're digging how deep you're going. I used to do this on my post hole diggers when I needed to dig a certain depth, but with this bulb shovel I'm going to need to go 12 inches down, and I didn't want to carry a stick that was marked 12 inches or a tape measure. So on the shovel itself I've taken some duct tape and I measured from the end of the shovel to right about there is 12 inches. So after this paint is good and dry, I'll pull the duct tape off and I will have a blue line 1 foot marker on my shovel. You might think, why did he do that? He put a blue line on his shovel. Well, it's my shovel and it's what I want to do. But just something to get me ready for this job. And blue is my favorite color. I'm the only one that likes the bamboo, but my dog enjoys going up in here and rooting around and enjoying herself in the yard in her little bamboo forest. I think she's ready to leave now. Maybe. A few rhizomes to get up, and here's my foot deep marked bulb shovel. It gives me an idea of how much more I have to go. Well, it's May 10th, and at least in this part of the bamboo area, we've got no new shoots coming up. But towards the front of my house, they are starting to come up. This is going to be a nice big bamboo shoot. We've got another one coming up here. That's 2. Let's see, we have another one coming up here. That's 3. And as opportunistic as bamboo is, look how close to the bamboo shield this shoot is coming up. I may let it grow, I may cut it off, I'm not sure. We'll see how it looks, how it behaves in the bed. And moving all the way to the very front of the bed, I have more shoots coming up. That was fun. We have this one here that's up to my hip, and then we have this one here that's probably 7.5 feet tall already, and these shoots are only probably 10 days old, and that's the kind of growth you can get with these guys. Just amazing fast growth. Now, last week I had to get rid of 2 shoots here on the wrong side of the bamboo barrier, and one coming out right about here in a new bed I put in here. And what is happening is, see if I can show you, but there are 2 fences back to back here, and there's a space between the fences, and bamboo is growing up between the fences. And my theory is the rhizomes are running between the fences and around the periphery, the further east, southeast end of my bamboo barrier. So they're taking advantage of the fact there's no bamboo barrier here, and they were putting up shoots here. Now, when I put this bed in and decided to plant this evergreen here, when I was digging this evergreen hole for this evergreen, guess what I found about 8 inches, 6 inches down? You guessed it, a bamboo rhizome. So, it's really tricky to know where they're going to show up. Now, my next door neighbor to the side of me, he's done a lot of work trying to keep the bamboo down. And it's been coming in rhizomes not only probably from my property, but the rear of his property was also adjacent to the huge bamboo stand that was removed a couple of years ago. So he's still got rhizomes coming in from over there. And he's had crews cutting and grading the soil and pulling up superficial roots, but he's done nothing nearly as extensive as what I'm doing here to keep more coming out of the very back side of my house. But we'll see what happens. It's always a challenge. Like I say, this is one long saga dealing with bamboo. And you know, I realized as I was walking around in this part of the bed taking pictures of bamboo shoots, I failed to include this one coming up right along the fence. And it's probably 7 to 10 days old and as tall as the fence. Amazing. In my progressive battle, and I found this shorter fourth one here. I do this all with the approval of my dog. Hello, Lily. Now, my bulb shovel that I marked with the 12-inch depth marker, it appears that sitting just a wee bit into the deepest part of the trench I have dug, I've got another at least 2.5 inches to dig there, and that same depth needs to go all the way up there and as far as I feel like it here. I may just stop with the trench depth at this pine tree root. Beyond it, I kind of doubt that there's going to be any rhizomes coming out, mainly because when you look at what's going on in the yard behind me where the bamboo is, there's not much bamboo happening. There is one growing even with this large bamboo, and that is, well, that's about to right there. So I may dig a trench, a pruning trench, maybe 3 or 4 feet actually beyond that root from the pine tree. And I'm going to sign off here, and I'm going to show you a picture or more, or 2 or 3, of what a pruning trench looks like. I did absolutely nothing for the past 2 days, giving my old bones and muscles a chance to rest up. Well, I looked over my neighbor's fence to check out the extent of the bamboo running down to the side of my property, and seems he's got one little skinny bamboo coming up and evidence of bamboo growth here. So the bamboo might send rhizomes out as far as to where my azalea bush and oak tree are. So I've got probably 30 feet of pruning trench to put in. And you know what? This video is running way longer than I thought it would, but I found it very interesting to research this and work on this, and leave it said I will put the trench in. I may not go down a full 12 inches. My wife and I were talking, and she said, why don't you just do 8 inches and be done with it? And in talking to David at Brightside Bamboo here in North Carolina, he said the deepest he's ever seen a rhizome go in putting in, oh, I don't know, 75, 80,000 feet of bamboo control methods. So I would say 8 inches is probably a good depth to go to and just to finish. And that way I can be essentially done with this video by telling you I'm going to do that. It's going to be 8 inches deep. I will bring the soil back closer to the fence here and sort of put a nice slope on it, and it'll look okay. And it's in my backyard. The dog's not going to fall in it. I'm not going to fall in it. My wife's not going to fall in it. And anybody else is basically going to be okay. So this is Source Codex, aka Jazz Fusion Guy, signing off on the very long movie about bamboo control. Ciao.